I'm just starting off on social media. I'm brand new. What type of posts should I make as an agent?
I think that's something that a new agent can make even if you don't have any listings. I don't think everyone is born with the ability. I think a lot of agents are scared to do that. How do I make a shift from an employee to self-employed and then eventually to business owner and then eventually to investor? It's been the best decision that I've ever made. It changes how you think about money and think about ways of earning money.
How did you get started in real estate and how long have you been in the game?
Getting into real estate was an encouragement from various friends, partners. What made me want to switch to EXP was
Today, I'm excited to have a chat with someone who's absolutely killing it in the real estate game, Tessa Flight out of Houston, Texas. Tessa's not just another top producing agent. She's someone who's truly carved her own path in the real estate industry. And in this episode, we dive deep into her journey, why she made the switch to EXP Realty, and also how she's been able to crush it on social media. Tessa shares some seriously good tips on how to connect with clients and how to set yourself apart from the crowd. If you're looking to level up your real estate business or want to hear from someone that's been there and done that, you're in for a treat. Let's jump right in. Today, I have the pleasure of bringing on a top producing agent, and you're out of Houston, Texas. Is that correct, Tessa?
yes, Houston, Texas.
We connected on social media a few years back. I think maybe around 4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was during when COVID first started that I remember connecting with you on social.
Gotcha. And how did we end up? Do you even know how we ended up connecting, or is it just I followed your content somehow, some way?
Yeah, it was either I found your content and I thought it was really cool and I followed you because, I want to see what you're doing and I think it was funny. Maybe you posted something funny.
Yeah, I always try to put some personality into my content and into my social media so people could get to know who I am. I'm not always taking things too seriously because
Yeah,
I want to have fun.
I
But
love it.
I've seen you grow over the past 4 years into where you are today. And I want to know a little bit of your backstory, Tessa, of how did you get started in real estate and how long have you been in the game?
So I've always been in sales, whether it's medical sales. I had my insurance license. So I was in financial services sales a little bit. Getting into real estate was like an encouragement from various friends, partners, and they're like, oh yeah, you should get licensed. You would be really good at it. And at first I blew it off and, I finally took up what they said. I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a go. I've been doing it for going on 6 years now. It's been great. It's been the best decision that I've ever made and that I plan to be in it for a really, really, really long time.
I love it. And what brokerage did you start off with when you first started?
It was KW, right?
Wow. Okay. So you were with Keller Williams.
Yeah, I was with Keller Williams for my first brokerage. I mean, I went with them because they're known as the great training brokerage, right, for a new agent. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to get my training in.
So you were with Keller Williams. Was that training true to what they say? Okay, it is the best, and you got the value out of being there at Keller Williams?
Yeah, I think, as a new agent, if you're not joining a team, which I think joining a team would be a great way to get started. But if you are not joining a team, I think they had the training to kind of get started, but then it's up to you to get going with what they teach you. Their training is more of the traditional way of marketing yourself, not so much what I do now, but more like, oh, you got to mail out postcards, you got to do open house, you got to call all your friends and ask for their business, friends and family, and just that type of marketing.
Got it. And what did you do when you first started as a brand new agent? Like, what was your techniques? Were you doing the traditional ways?
Yeah, I tried to do open house, see if that would work for me. I would say I was not very good at converting open house leads. I think I've only closed 2
Okay.
prospects to date, actually. But what I really focused in on was social media. was actually marketing to my sphere of influence. That's the people that I know. I think social media for me is that people that I know, that I met maybe once or twice, that maybe I'm friends with, acquaintances, former coworkers, family. It could be anybody, but I know these people in one way or another, to where I'm getting the message out there that I now in this business, please think of me. And that's how I got started. It was my sphere of influence through social media.
I love it. And I'm a big believer in social media. And that's my thing. That's the way I got into it as well. I would just add people anywhere. It doesn't matter where I was at, the coffee shop, the gym, anywhere I was saying, hey, are you on social media? Let's connect. And so I love to hear that you utilized that when you first started. So awesome to hear, Tessa. And what platforms were you using back then, and what do you use now?
So back then it was a lot of Facebook and Instagram. And right now I would say those two platforms are still probably my highest engagement platforms. And I've ventured out into TikTok. I sometimes post on LinkedIn, but I'm not super active on there because my engagement is very, very low. Uh, and then, of course, I want to eventually get into YouTube. I know a lot of agents excelling in YouTube and just creating niche videos. It could be they're speaking Vietnamese and they're attracting all the Vietnamese buyers and sellers. Yeah, but right now, majority of my sphere is on Instagram and Facebook, and that's where I focus most of my marketing efforts.
I love it. So let me ask you this. I'm just starting off on social media. I'm brand new. What type of posts were you making, and what type of posts should I make as an agent starting off and wanting to be known and wanting to get seen?
Yeah, I think making property tour videos are always something that people are interested in seeing. They want to see nice listings. I think that's something that a new agent can make, even if you don't have any listings. Of course, posting stories about you out there working, whether it's open house or you kind of have to make it, fake it till you make it as a new agent. Even though you're not closing deals and working with sellers and buyers yet, you want to go out there, do the work of attending broker opens, doing open houses, previewing listings, and then just capture yourself doing the work. I think you want to show your sphere that you're out there, you're putting in the work, and you're ready to take on the opportunities that come your way. And that's how I got started. Like, yeah, I didn't have any experience. I didn't have any clients, but I want to get out there, do the work, and show my sphere that I'm ready when the opportunity comes, and I'm ready to take on that listings, or I'm ready to take on them as a buyer and whatnot. So
this is the part of acting as if when you just get started. And I'm a big believer in acting as if. And that's exactly what I did when I first started Broker Opens, previewing, showing my audience, even if it wasn't my listings, okay, I'm around this, I'm associating myself with real estate. People are going to think about Sean and Scott, or just Sean, whoever my audience is. If they weren't following Scott, they're thinking of me.
the Bautista twins.
The twins. The twins.
Yeah.
And so I love that you said that, and that you mentioned going out there and doing the work, because people, they think they could put out one video and go viral, and then all of a sudden here comes the client. But what I love about your content is that you also go on stories and you like to speak. Tell me about that. Talk to me about going on your stories and how you do it.
Actually, outside of real estate and my sales background, I have an acting background as well. I do commercials and, acting gigs here and there. And that's something that, like, a skill that I bring into this career is my on-camera skills. I'm not afraid to get on camera. I'm not shy. I'm really happy to get on my stories and talk to my audience and engage that way. I think that you connect with your audience a lot more when you speak to them on stories. So once they follow you, how are you going to engage them to kind of stay top of mind, right?
Gotcha.
And I think a lot of agents are scared to do that. They're either camera shy, they're too self-critical, and they just don't want to do it, versus just jumping in and not care what everybody else is thinking, and speak your mind and talk about what you're going through and talk about the business. So
I love it. I love it because it's so raw. Whenever you're like speaking on your stories, it's like I can connect with you, and it's like, wow, I know Tessa, but I've never met you. you. I've never met you, but I would do business with you because I know the value you bring and I know who you are as a person. You're authentic. And so that's why I love watching your stuff and seeing you grow over these last years that we've been following each other. What's one tip you could give somebody to like get over this camera shyness, or if they're afraid of being in front of the camera? What's one tip since you're a pro at it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think everyone is born with the ability to just hop on camera and have no fear. I definitely did not start that way when I first like wanted to pursue acting. Yeah, I was also camera shy and I didn't feel comfortable either. So it was through just putting myself through some acting classes. I think that's a great way to get over the fear. If you want to just make yourself be comfortable, put yourself in acting classes, do it in front of the camera. Practice makes perfect. Of course, you can always film yourself in the privacy of your own home and see how you look and just get more comfortable that way. I think everyone is very critical of themselves, of how they sound or how they look on camera, but you just have to put all of that behind you. As long as that you're authentic, you get your message out and you connect with your audience. That is the main goal of putting yourself on camera on social media, whether it's listing videos or going on stories. Yeah, and that's the beauty of social media and marketing on social media, is that you can connect with people that don't know you simply by just being yourself and talking to them and just, yeah, be yourself, really.
Be yourself, right?
And your tribe will find you.
That's true. That is the truth. I want to ask, how many transactions are you averaging per year? How in the last few years? Like, what's the average transactions that you do, or how many do you do?
I wouldn't say I'm like a super high volume realtor. I generally do around anywhere between 20 to 35 deals a year. Now, now I'm just trying to, of course, the volume, right? Instead of $300,000 to $500,000 listing or homes, I would love to get into the multi-million dollar listings. And of course, I would just love to exclusively do those. But, I'm serving everyone as they come. And I think, there's definitely more room to do more. Gotcha. With the help that I'm having right now with the admin and with team members. So I feel like that's not at my maximum capacity. I could definitely do more, but it keeps me pretty busy.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of transactions to be doing. And I see you doing multi-million dollar sales and listings and whatnot. So I see you closing those and you're doing a great job. And like I said, I've seen your growth since you started. Question for you is that you just made a recent switch to EXP. Which brokerage were you with prior to EXP?
So I was with a really boutique brokerage. Actually, my last two brokerages were considered boutique. They're local, they're smaller. But what made me want to switch to EXP was that I just really needed something that has a very robust back office system to support my business, just the transaction management process. And then when I heard about the whole business model that EXP offers, it's very agent centric. So I am a broker now. I could start my own brokerage if I wanted to, but do I want to? No, I don't. I just need a brokerage that has the systems, the business model to support my business and for me to be able to run my business as a brokerage, but without having the legal liabilities and all the work of being a broker. Exactly. It's like I want to focus on running my business, growing the business, not the day-to-day headaches of trying to run a brokerage, right? So yeah, and it just really made sense to me, the EXP business model. And I think it's a much better fit for me compared to the boutique brokerages that I was with. So yeah, I don't know if you've heard of Next Gen Real. Oh yeah, actually you do. You have heard.
I know them. They're really sweet girls. They're sweet gals that built a massive brokerage down there, and so
yeah, they started off as boutique. Now they are like up to 150 or 200 agents. So yeah, they've grown a lot. And I'm still friends with everyone over there. They've been great. I've had a lot of fun. I think EXP, like just all of the different avenues that I can earn income outside of producing, I think that's great.
So you're producing, you're doing your deals. What else are you getting in benefits from being at EXP that you weren't getting at these other brokerages?
So I'm getting shares of stocks. I joined at the beginning of this year, and I think they've already given me, I don't remember how many shares of the EXP stock just by, I guess, closing my first deal, meeting my cap, bringing on new agents to my team. I'm watching the stock price go up, and that's exciting. And then revenue share too. When you attract new agents to the company, they reward you for that. I think that's great. So you're, in the seat of almost like a recruiter, because before with traditional companies, they have a role for that, the corporate recruiter and whatnot, and they get paid a salary to do their job, and the agents focus in on producing, and they don't have the option of doing that job and getting compensated for it. But I think EXP, they give you the option if you want to, right? So I think that's great. Yeah. And if you are able to hit the icon, I think, as a producing agent myself, I think hitting the icons like, oh yeah, I could do that. And if you're going to give me my cap back and shares, that is a no-brainer, right? So why would I go to a brokerage that does not have that option when I know I'm going to hit the requirement of an icon agent at EXP? So
yeah, and with the volume that you're doing, and all it takes is about, I think the average is like 27 to 28 transactions to become an icon agent. It makes total sense for a top producer like you to just get the icon award, get your cap back, and virtually work for 100% plus at this company.
Exactly. EXP has all the tools that these big box brokerages have. So yeah, just more.
What about being a cloud-based brokerage? Because a lot of the misconceptions are, oh, the training is not there. There's no office. Is there room for a person to grow, even if they're just starting? Can they grow in this model, even though we're not physically in an office?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the beauty of the cloud-based brokerage is that what's really important for a new agent and an agent thinking about joining is you have to identify a team or a group of what you would say upline leadership that you identify with and that you think you can work well with, that you can learn from to grow with. You join that group, that team, you're going to grow together with them. And that's another reason why I joined EXP is that a lot of the great agents that I know that that were at KW has moved over and they're doing great. They're doing these big numbers, and there's someone that I aspire to become one of these days too. And I want to build momentum with them and be aligned with them. The cloud-based brokerage lets you have the flexibility of maybe joining someone that is not local. It could be someone that's in another city, but as long as that you get that engagement and mentorship, that's all that matters. And most of the time, I don't even go into the office when I was at brokerages with offices anyways.
Because you're too busy producing, you're too busy listing homes,
Exactly.
you're too busy selling homes. It's like
I'm in the field, right? I'm
you are in
showing
the
homes
field.
and I'm doing listing appointments. I'm not in the office.
You're creating content, awesome content. By the way, you produce the best, and it's not the same as everybody else, every other realtor's content. That's why I was like, okay, I love her content. It's funny, it's raw, it's like real. It's real you.
Thank you.
And it really tells a story. And that's part of using social media. And that's why I really do love following you.
Oh, thank you. And I look up to you a lot too. I think I was thinking about all the funny content that you put out. And it's not just your cookie cutter walkthrough video. It's something that engages people's attention and that they watch till the end type. I think that's why we stayed in touch all this time and we're engaged with each other's content. And
right. And it's about engaging with others, building a relationship, because you've probably gotten so many strangers that you didn't even know, but they knew who you were and they probably done business with you because of your content. Is that right?
Yeah, I have people who say that they knew me from social way before I met them in person. And it's great to know that I have that kind of reach on social. A lot of times it's local realtors that tell me that I meet them out in the field and they're like, oh yeah, I've seen you on social. And I was like, oh, nice to meet you. like in person, in real life.
So I do want to ask you another question about social media because everyone wants to know, like, how do you differentiate yourself? Like the type of content that you put out, like how do you differentiate yourself from millions of other agents putting out content and house tours?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think my on camera training gives me an edge just a little bit. I think everybody is able to get there if you kind of just do the work to get the skill. But I see a lot of realtors, I guess, just doing the same walkthrough videos and the talking head videos too. And I always try to think of topics that haven't been talked about. And like one recent video that I did kind of blew up. I was talking about doctor loan programs, which is applicable in Houston because we do have the largest medical center here. So I think it's just thinking of original content that's not like everybody else. And then, of course, I also look at content creators that's making content that gets a lot of momentum. Like, what are those? And then, trying to do my own spin on it. So
That's
yeah.
great advice. That's pretty much exactly what I do is what you just mentioned. So you know pretty much the recipe on how to capture attention, how to attract the ideal client to you so they can reach out and do business with you. So that's awesome. And a final question that I wanted to ask you is, do you like books? Do you read books?
I do love listening to
Okay,
podcasts more than reading books, but I
for sure.
have read books in the past. When I was in actually financial services sales, there were books that I read that made a big impact. I'm sure you've heard of this one, Rich Dad Poor Dad
Oh,
by
yes,
Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, I think that one changed mindset. It gave me like a paradigm shift, I would say.
it
Like
did. Yeah,
it changes how you think about money and
it
think about
is.
ways of earning money, right? And for those of you who's read that book, yeah, like I was an employee, but how do I make a shift from an employee to self-employed and then eventually to business owner and then eventually to investor? In our profession, we are self-employed, but then we're also building a business. And then hopefully we're able to take what we earn to invest, right? Whether
That's
it's
right.
in the stock market or into real estate. It's a great book,
I
Rich
love it.
Dad, Poor Dad.
Awesome. And question about the podcast. What are your favorite podcasts? Let's say your top 3 podcasts that you're listening to, or top 2 podcasts that you like to listen to.
Okay, so Hidden Brain, that
Oh,
one's a big one. It's by NPR. They
okay.
don't talk about any real estate related content, but more just life, personal development, and social issues that are very introspective. And just, I think all the topics that they cover are really good. So I
Nice.
love that one. I listen to Tom Ferry's podcasts from time to time
Okay.
for real estate tips and tricks and listening from a coach, right, a known coach.
For sure.
And then who else do I listen to? Some other ones, the Skinny Confidential, that one. I don't know if you've heard of that
I
one.
haven't heard of it. I'll have to check all of these out.
Yeah, that one's more just life hacks and wellness stuff.
Well, that's awesome.
Oh, and then of course, true crime. I'm a sucker for true crime
Yeah.
podcasts. But
Yeah.
that's just like for strictly entertainment value, anything from Wondery, all the true crime ones.
Nice. Well, awesome. Tessa, I really appreciate you joining and providing all the value to the audience today. I'll make sure to drop Tessa's links in the description below. Give her a follow. She has an amazing social media platform. Thank you again, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Thank you for having me. See you guys.